How do we do a planned burn, you might ask? 80 hectares, as I said, is a pretty regulation sort of plan. And carrying out safe and effective planned burning is part art, part science. It's really about using the topography in your photo. People would realise that fires travel uphill quicker than they travel downhill. And what we're trying to do is ignite the burn in a way that we're trying to get backing fire or downhill fire working downhill. So that's our primary sort of what we call a lighting pattern, the method of ignition, so that we can get a relatively low intensity fire that can back down the hill. Now when we get into a bigger burn, that process can take a long time. So what we often do is we use our crews to basically light up around the edges by hand using drip torch. I've got some pictures to show that. And these ridge lines, and we always try to light up the ridge lines first. In this particular case, we used a helicopter with an incendiary machine to basically fly over those ridge lines and ignite it. And we did that in a staged way. So we didn't light it all up in one go. We light it up over a period of 4 to 6 hours all through the day. Basically, start the fire at the top. It actually burnt into damp bush at the top that didn't really burn, and then throughout the day and into the evening, bring the fire down into the lower parts of the burn.
You're still shooting flaming ping pong balls out of the helicopter? Or?
Oh, they're not flaming when they come out of the helicopter. They're basically they're a little ball like a ping pong ball, and if anybody remembers their high school chemistry, you might remember a prac where you'd get potassium permanganate, and you'd mix that with glycol. And about 30 seconds later, that's an exothermic reaction and creates heat, and then eventually that heat causes the plastic sphere of the ping pong ball to actually spontaneously combust. So, high school chemistry was actually worth paying attention to.
So you're shooting explosive ping pong balls out of there, right?
No, exothermic, no explosive. But I'm happy to talk about all the detail about how we carry out burning later on. And I guess this sort of picture is sorry? Not a great one, but it's sort of, this is the video. So Ali put this together for me this afternoon. And you can sort of see that it's a pretty mild level of fire behaviour. You can sort of see by the wispy smoke, there's no really strong column. One thing that gives away fire intensity is when you see, and this is always a bit of a tip, if you see some smoke from a fire, and if the smoke is black, that's a sign that the fire is burning very intensely. So hopefully you'll only see white smoke here, and that sort of shows that we're really sort of trying to have a backing fire. We want to try and keep the fire out of the crowns of the trees. It's an understory only fire, and really our performance is there to see. When you look at the Debrief burn now, you will see little bits of brown where there's what we call scorch of the canopy, and that's a sign where it probably just got a little bit on the hot side. Now, if you look at a whole burn unit, it's all brown scorch, well, call the planned burn team. But if, the actual intensity we got there was about what we were after. Okay, and that was obviously taken during the fire. But as you can see, it's pretty moderate fire behaviour. Okay, and this is basically showing that obviously the boundary of the burn in most cases is roads and tracks, and in this case roads, tracks, and there's an aqueduct down the bottom, which makes for a pretty handy burn boundary. And so our crews will light up the vegetation along the roadside to get an edge in, and then once we've established an edge, then we can look to using the helicopter to light up the internal part of the burn. So that's the Debrief burn. We did about a dozen other burns this year. We had a pretty good year. Our biggest trouble around delivering our burn program around this part of the world is usually you get some rainy weather in March, and what happens is that the bush struggles to get to a point where it's dry enough to carry out our burn. It wasn't looking too good, but we did get a couple of 2-week drying periods that resulted in, after a week or so of drying weather, we find ourselves with 2 or 3 days of good favourable burning conditions after a week or so of drying. But I'll be at the table, so if anybody's got any questions, they can ask me.